I'm really taking a moment to acknowledge how important self intimacy is. And when we talk about self intimacy or intimacy with self, we're not just talking about in a sexual manner. We're talking about all types of intimacy in regards to this term. Because a lot of people just relate it directly to that thing, but intimacy isn't just that. Intimacy is creativity. Intimacy is love. Intimacy is vulnerability. Intimacy is honesty. It's truth. It's authenticity. It's all these things, right? That's what intimacy truly means. And I feel like there needs to be more of an more of an emphasis on everybody being intimate with themselves in a way that's so deep, that's so raw, that's so real. And this is important because this is going to translate over to all other relationships in our lives, right? Because the more intimate and deep we can get with ourselves, the more intimate and deep we can get with somebody else. Because we can only go as deep with another individual as far as we've gone with ourselves. How can I express and give to you something that I don't have? So being real, being raw, being authentic, being truthful, and being deep with self is essential when it comes to intimacy. Because some of us fall very short, including myself, many times in our relationships in the area of intimacy. And intimacy allows us to hold space, to be able to be free within self. It gives us freedom to grow, whether it be the intimacy with us or the intimacy with another. You see, I'm coming into this huge epiphany, which I know many people have already said, but I really have to focus on this internal relationship with myself. Because, like I've mentioned, I can't go deep with anybody else until I am in that same deepness with myself. And to be honest with you, it's still a work in progress. It's still growth that can be done. There's still more improvements that can be recognized. I don't feel like I'm quite there yet, and that's okay. That's okay with me. Because I know I am not perfect, right? And neither are you. Sometimes we can continue working through things and they will come back, and that's fine. But self-intimacy, man, is important. It's so important to have that intimacy with yourself. And honestly, if we can also sum it up into another way, it would be really you getting to know yourself, getting to know what you like, you don't like, getting to know what your purpose is, what is your truth, not what others have imposed onto you, but what is your actual truth. Holding space for yourself to be authentic, forgiving yourself for making mistakes in the past and allowing yourself to move on, allowing yourself to breathe and to just be intimacy. So how can we really learn and cultivate this intimate relationship with ourselves? I think it's first by being vulnerable and being honest. I think it starts with those two things. It starts with being vulnerable and being honest with ourselves. Where are we? Who do we see ourselves as? What parts of ourselves have we been putting in the shadow? What parts of ourselves have we not been loving on enough? What parts of ourselves we've been so hard on? In what ways now can I be honest? Can I be vulnerable with myself? Sometimes that's more scary than being vulnerable with other people. And I don't think a lot of us realize it. A lot of us don't realize that The person that we are afraid to be vulnerable with the most is ourselves. The person that we're afraid to be the most intimate with is ourselves. So that's what happens when you seek things from the outside, is because you're not getting from inside, because you're afraid of what that's going to look like. You're afraid to truly see yourself. Because if you see who you really are, or if you allow other people to see who you really are, they might not like it and you might not like it. You might not like that trauma that you've been through. You might not like what you see in the mirror. So you don't go deep. You don't show up. You don't become authentic. And you don't follow what's true to you. You just continue on in a surface level relationship within yourself. You don't allow yourself to spread your wings. You don't allow yourself to be something different, because you're not vulnerable with self or intimate with self. But you know what? How do you build up the guts to be like, hey, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna hold myself accountable. That's where it starts. It starts by you holding yourself accountable and starting off small. This is going to be a long process to build this intimacy with self, because it's like you could have a history of people shutting you down, of not allowing you to have a voice, not allowing you to feel like you're heard. So you shut your own self down. Your ego shut your true, authentic self down. And you lost that trust with self. You don't trust your gut feeling anymore, because you know what your gut feeling is. That's your intuition. And your intuition is also your true, authentic self, because that is your godly self, right? So you're not intimate. You're not intimate with self, so that falls in your relationships, and thus you become unlikely to be intimate with your partners. Your partners feel like they don't get the real you. Your partners feel like they don't get all of you. They feel like you're holding back or you have walls up. Any of these things is because you are. It's because you are closed off. You aren't sharing the most intimate and deep parts with yourself, because guess what? You don't have access to it. You don't have the key to the lock. So how could you possibly open the door for somebody else if you can't even open it for yourself? And that's why it always dwindles back to, what are you doing for yourself? And what are you doing for you? What is your relationship like with self? If it's not one of deep intimacy, there's something that needs to be looked at. And then not only that, even if you may feel like you do have a nice, deep, intimate connection with yourself, make sure you're still watering it. Make sure you're still tending to the garden of the love inside of you. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Make sure you're caring for this garden. You're fertilizing this garden. Make sure you're caring for your internal well-being as well. You cannot live off of an empty cup. You cannot keep pouring out of an empty glass, because that well runs dry eventually. So that is why self-intimacy is important. That is why you always give space, give time for the things that you love, for the things that you enjoy, for the life that you want to live, for the person that you want to show up as. Hold space for yourself. Be gentle, be kind, be caring, be loving, just like you are to everybody else. But it seems like you don't give that same grace with yourself. But eventually it'll catch up, because it'll feel like everybody's taking advantage of you, or it'll feel like you never truly shared a deep connection, because guess what? You didn't allow them to see the deepest parts of you. You can only build deep, genuine connections when you're deep and genuine with self. Ashe and amen.